Hello, 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 hello.
Is mine on even? I can't.
It's on.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, I am here today. This is a show I've been looking forward to. I'm here today with Mr. Scott Tapley and a dear friend of mine, Kim Rutherford, who she's my hero. She's my heroine. She's my athletic hero. I mean, you know.
Mine too.
You know, a lot of people have. You are.
Show's about Scott.
Huh?
The show is
Show's
about
Scott. So, Scott, welcome to the Ultimate Radio Show. I really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
And I just want to make sure you're speaking that microphone nice and loud, like I'm screaming
Okay.
almost in it, which is great. You are here today because on September 14th, 2020, you swam the English Channel, which I know, growing up in England, living on the south coast, very familiar with the English Channel. The English Channel is a shitty piece of water.
Right.
Right? It's dirty, it's gross, it's tide, full of horrible tides, rip tide, full of boats, ships, and God knows what else.
Yeah.
And I know that you failed. I was going to say failed, but you've had 3 previous attempts.
Right.
And you decided to keep going back, and you know, determination and perseverance that you have is. I tip my hat off to you.
Yeah. There's a French couple that runs around the beach in France, and they take pictures of the people that land who are swimming the channel.
Right.
And they like to say that when someone is on their way but they don't quite make it to France,
Yeah.
they like to call it delayed success. And so the first time I didn't quite land that in France,
Right.
I felt like I had failed, and then I kind of signed up online for this. It's like a support group for for
therapy.
Do not finishes. Yeah,
Is that therapy?
It's called they call it disappointed but not defeated. Right?
Yeah,
So this
right.
idea that you try to take away what you can from
Right.
the experience, and then you build on it. But that so I like to think of it that those were delayed successes.
Right. Is that the only delay? Have you had any other delayed successes in your life? Was that the first one you've experienced?
I think that was probably the first big one, right?
Right.
And I don't even consider myself a swimmer. That's the thing.
Right.
I've always grown up just like this surf rat,
Punk.
surf punk skate rat guy.
Right. Right.
I had no desire to do anything organized sports, what have you. I was that kid when I was little. Everybody goes down to the baseball field to
Right.
try out for Little League.
Right.
So you just do it because that's what everybody does.
Right.
And I showed up, and I think I was the only kid there that had hair down to my shoulders.
Yeah.
Like this little hippie kid. And,
Punk.
yeah, and
Right.
kind of threw my skateboard down on the driveway, went over to the field to try out for Little League, and by the end of the tryouts, the coach says, he said, like, "You suck, go home, kid."
Right.
Like,
Right.
but that really happened. So I went home and I was like, okay, like I don't want to do that. So I just kept skating and.
But there's something in all. There's something in all of you guys. The Natadorus local, the crazy swimmers. There's something in you which makes you want to persevere in the sport. I lived at Brighton. I lived on the English Channel.
Yeah.
I had no. I mean, I'm trying to think. I had no desire, thought of like, when I get in, I'm gonna swim over there. None. I mean, absolutely none. But I was a big swimmer at college and university, but no desire to swim in the English Channel. So I think it's just with Kim or Catherine Breed coming on tomorrow, you, and the rest of your crazy lunatic crowd. There's something in you that you were given that makes you want to do this sport.
Yeah, I guess
What is it?
Yeah, I don't know. First, I want to touch on the English Channel
Yeah.
being this like ugly, scary piece of water, right?
Yeah.
That's what I thought when I first went over there. And the first time I had the opportunity, Robin Rose, right? So
Yeah.
we were crewing for Robin Rose's swim, and I had the opportunity to get in and swim with her for a bit in the English Channel. This was before my chance to go try it, and I learned that. I fell in love with the water. It was actually, once you're out there in the middle of that channel, the colors are beautiful. There's all these jellyfish just kind of swimming around, but like below the surface.
Right. Right.
And it's actually remarkably beautiful, which was surprising to me too. Because at the same time, it's kind of this yin and yang, right?
Yeah.
At one moment, it's like trying to eat you alive, and it's ugly, and it's
Right.
always windy, and then at the same time, it's this like amazingly beautiful space to be in, while you're doing this thing. So, yeah, but I don't know. You asked like what's driving us and all that. It's kind of funny. People always come up to us and they say, "Oh, oh, that's insane. That's crazy. Like, what are you thinking?" And you know, it's like there's a saying, those who dance are considered mad by those who can't hear the music,
Right.
right? And so, you know, if you look at like Alex Honnold climbing, you know, El Capitan, like free solo, or Kim swimming the Monterey Bay,
Backwards.
22 hours backwards against the wind, you know, all day and all night. You go, that's nuts, right? She's
Right.
fucking mad.
Okay.
But if you push yourself far enough and like hard enough or long enough or cold enough or high enough or whatever, eventually you start to hear the music, you know, and it's like this, starts out like a little melody, and then if you just keep pushing it, it ends up like you're in the middle of this orchestra. It's just
But did you start off in a
amazing.
pool? Did you start off in a pool swimming, or did you start off in the ocean?
No, I started in the ocean.
Because you're a surfer, so you're
Yeah.
like, you got the O'Neill 4-3 wetsuit. You don't want to get cold. You don't want, right?
Yeah, well, you know, I always wore a wetsuit surfing, and
Right.
then you know, so I had this. I had family that lived on the North Shore, that lived right at Rocky Point,
Right.
right out there, right behind Lucky Cole's house on the North Shore. And one winter, I mean, I've been surfing since like 1979 or whatever, you know, around here. And then, but like in the 90s, I started getting into riding bigger waves and like exploring more. And so I went to the North Shore and stayed with the family. And we were there during December and January. And there were these massive swells, right?
Yeah,
It was like,
right.
they were coming around one night with bullhorns going, you know, we're going to evacuate you to Sunset Elementary School and all this stuff. So my brother-in-law tells me, you know, we're going to get up and go surf this place called Phantoms. And I didn't even know what Phantoms was at the time. You know? So we go out, it's like just outside of Veltyland and like between backyards. And so we paddle out there, and this building swell, and you know, we end up surfing like these massive waves. And while we were sitting out there, these guys come up on jet skis like with all their tow gear and stuff, and it turns out it was Derek Dorner, the
Right,
famous
right.
lifeguard. And they're like, "Oh, you guys good?" and all that. We're like, "Hey, we're good." And so they end up going over just down the way to, I think it was a place called Revelation.
Right.
We're watching these guys tow into these massive, you know, tubes, and you know, we end up surfing this place, Phantoms. But yeah, I come back from that trip and I'm just hooked, right? I'm like, oh my god, you know, I got
On big wave surfing.
on big wave surfing,
Right.
yeah. So I was like, I gotta start to like hone my skills and all
Right.
this. So as a result of that, I just started swimming in the ocean to try to stay fit, and then that led to paddleboarding, which
Right.
I bought a prone paddleboard,
Right.
and it was before, you know, you really didn't see many people paddling out there.
Right. No.
So, you know, I'd be paddling between Rio de Mar and up to the point, and just being in the water, you know, when you see another paddler or whatever, you go straight to them just to
Right.
see who they were. 'Cause
Right.
they're doing this thing. That
Well, you
they-
recognize them, you know.
Yeah, or you already recognize them.
Right.
And so through that, I met all these really neat people. Like I met Dave King that way, and like Phil Curtis, and
Right.
you know, Gunnar Roll, and all these guys. And that was when, so that was like the second annual J race was about to happen.
Right.
And so they invited me to that, and I did that. It was like out of the harbor that year. And then I just got in love with this whole paddling thing. And then paddling, we can talk about this in a minute, but paddling kind of led me, that's how I met Kim,
Right.
which led me into
You want
swimming.
her over?
Well, I'm not paddling one day, and I'm like training for the J, and you know, and all this stuff, and because I just fell in love with that whole scene, right?
Wasn't I out there with TC and his TC's boat, right?
And Scott
And
was swimming the jet.
And you, I'm like, what? And I remember you were out there. We were out there with TC, and we're freezing our ass off.
Yeah.
A bunch of these guys paddling, and then I see somebody swimming and a boat next to him. It was her. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing out here?
Yeah.
She's like points at you. I'm like, what the hell is he doing?
Yeah.
He's swimming the J. I'm like, oh my, you know,
Right.
we were like, you know, you get off, see all the athletes and they're all the testosterone and how, you know, but you know what? Swimming the J race, it was something that's amazing.
Yeah, so I started, you know, I was paddling, I would paddle the race every year, and it was like this really special thing for me to do, and I met all these really neat people. And one year I'm just kind of getting ready for the race, and I came back, I was coming back to New Brighton, and I would leave in the morning to go like paddle out to Malibu or something, and then I'd see this woman swimming, you know, like down toward the cement ship. And she's just out there by herself, no wetsuit, swimming down the cement ship. And then by the time I'd come back, like 3 hours later, she'd still be swimming, you know? And so then, I don't know if you guys know Suzanne Redinger, but she's like this legendary kind of, you know, paddler, swimmer in Santa Cruz. And so she says, you gotta meet Kim. Kim's this amazing person, and she's looking for someone to help her to paddle with her across Catalina. And so I met Kim, and the next thing you know, flash forward, I'm paddling next to her from Catalina Island back to Long Beach, like,
Right.
20-mile paddle,
Right.
20-mile swim. And we just ended up logging in all these hours together where I would paddle next to her and she would swim. And we'd take off from like New Brighton and end up like go to the harbor and then back to the cement boat.
Right.
And we'd be out there all day. And after a while, she's like, "You should do a swim." You know, and I'm like, "No, I don't."
She's always trying to drag people into a
Yeah.
sport. You can be a grocery outlet and just try to drag someone into her sport.
She's guilty of converting a lot of people.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
So next thing you know, I'm out of the wetsuit, I'm in a Speedo, you know, and
Right.
I'm swimming out here in SoCal Cove.
Yeah, what the
every
hell are you
day,
doing?
Right?
Good.
And it got to the point where, like, so then she talked me into training for the swimming the Santa Barbara Channel and then eventually the Catalina Channel, you know, and you get kind of obsessed, and I'm out there swimming every day. And then it was like you'd swim, originally I'd swim on non-surfing days, right? You know, if there's a swell, you're not going to be out swimming.
Right, you don't be surfing.
Right, I got this buddy who lives in Truckee, he's like, helped pioneer the whole snowboarding thing, Jim Zellers.
Mm-hmm.
He was kind of one of the early big mountain guys. And Jim, you know, he'd go, "Oh, did you catch that swell down there? You know, how's the surf?" And I go,
Right.
"Well, I swam today." And it's like, "You fucking idiot," you know? It's like, you know, swimming on a day when there's a swell. That's
Right.
like cross-country skiing on
Right.
a powder day or something.
Right,
That's just
right.
stupid.
Yeah.
So I started feeling really guilty. And I told Suzanne earlier, like, you know, I'm kind of feeling bad. Like, there's good surf, but I'm out here swimming. And I've also I had missed the J a couple times because I was training, you know, for something.
Right.
And she's like, "Why don't you just swim the J?" And I thought,
Which is how many? 19 miles?
the J is the long course
Well,
is like 12 miles.
12 miles,
Yeah,
right,
plus
yeah.
or minus, I
Yeah.
think. You know, it depends on where the buoys lie or whatever. And so I thought, you know, yeah, right, I'm not gonna swim the J, you know. But
Right.
and then I ended up just going out there one day with my brother-in-law was in a kayak, and I swam it like unofficially, and just kind of did it. And then I thought, well, you know, that was pretty cool, but I don't really know if I hit all the right buoys and all that stuff. So I really wanted to do it on the day of the J.
Right.
But I didn't.
Which is the year I was out there?
That was the year
Yeah,
you were
yeah,
out there.
yeah.
But I also didn't want to like infringe on the event at all, or like poach any
Right.
resources and all that. So I got my own boat, I got my own paddler, and had my own insurance and all that stuff. And I went out and we started out like at 6 in the morning before the race was going on. That's when we saw you out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so cool because I'm out there chatting with you,
Yeah, right.
and then all the the lead paddlers, all
Right.
the elite paddlers come by, and you're
Right.
waving to all your friends, and
Right.
it was just this cool
Yeah.
day. It was really fun.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Were you recognized by the J race people?
No,
No?
no,
Okay.
because then it was. I mean, I would love to someday. Like we have the Monterey Bay Swim Association organization that we run. It would be really fun if the J ever comes back like as an official race to to get a swim division and actually have a long swim.
Do you think? Can you grab that microphone? You can
Yes.
grab that. Do you think that because of what Kat did and you've done and he's done and all this stuff that's happened just the last couple of days on social media has brought attention to the sport? And do you think you guys could ride that wave to make the sport more popular?
I hope so.
Right?
Yeah, that's my dream is to get the kids involved,
Right.
get younger age groups going.
Right.
because-
Like Aaron McKinnon or
Younger.
Kaylin Winter.
yeah,
Right?
Kylan.
Kylan, right? Kylan.
And
Always got a name wrong.
she so those kind of paddling and swimming, and I coach for Quicksilver, so that's where Kylan swims.
Right.
And so on Saturdays I do Quicksilver, the
Right.
kids in the ocean. So trying to get them excited about being in the ocean,
Right.
and I mean, here we are in the most amazing water, and these kids with incredible talent in the pool. You don't know. You got to find out which ones of those really just thrive in the ocean
Right.
and
Right.
help them out. So I'd love to do that, but I think as far as like right now and this wave, it would be great. We've got COVID in the middle of all this,
That's
right? So that makes it difficult. We had to cancel all our events this year. But I have gotten calls. We have a couple more swims coming up, it looks like. Bay crossings, we'll see how that pans out. And then I've had people starting to contact me to train for next year to do it.
But you got,
So-
COVID doesn't affect swimming, does it? You guys can still.
Well, travel though,
Okay,
travel
traveling,
and being able to train. So I do train in the pool a lot, and I come from the pool and the ocean. So my base training, we put on this 24-hour swim in the winter, and that's the start of our base training, 24 miles in 24 hours. So the pool is an important aspect of getting the speed up, getting the miles, and remembering technique,
Right.
and then having that, and then putting the long miles in the
We only
ocean.
have very few pools in this area. You got
Everything's
Simpkins.
closed right now.
Right.
Everything's
Is Simpkins
closed.
closed?
It's not closed.
Right. But
It's not open. Let's
Okay.
say it that way, because none of the programs are running.
right.
You can swim for 45 minutes. We swim, we'll swim for 3-4 hours in a pool easily, doing some, if it rains, and you just go to the pool and do
Right.
your 12,000 yards or whatever.
Right,
So
right.
You're right, the open water swimming is really taken off.
Yeah.
Especially because of the triathlon thing, more and more people are swimming in the ocean. And I would love to see, there's like, a lot of people are open water swimming, but I would love to, we have at least a dozen friends that would show up to swim the J Long course.
Right.
It was an official
Oh, yeah.
event at at that event. So I think it would be fun to really start to combine more of the, they do this already. They already have some swim events
Yeah.
at the J, and they do this down south a lot with a lot of lifeguard and paddle events.
Right.
It's like combined swimming and paddling. But I would love to see kind of this, the people up in this area that are pushing the boundaries as far as swimming get kind of paired up with a lot of these
Right.
like surf and paddle events.
You want to say anything more?
No.
Okay. I'm gonna come back to the channel swim.
Yeah, the
Okay.
channel.
Because we're not exactly. The English Channel's not on our doorstep.
Right.
So you 3 times you what's the phrase, that phrase?
Oh, delayed success.
You had delayed success of 3 times. So you're gonna come back, and then you're gonna train. What made you, obviously, what made
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
want to keep going?
It's a combination of part obsession, right? Part just obsession, and the other part is just the support that I've had through the community. There are people that weren't going to let me off the hook, right?
Right.
They just expected me to go
Right.
back and finish the job. But there's something about it though, like if you set a goal like that, the goal becomes kind of this thing, but it becomes all the space between now and finishing that goal, and that's where
Right.
all the cool stuff happens.
Right.
So like the journey becomes, I know it sounds super cliche, right? It's
No,
like
it's
not
not.
about the destination, it's about
Right.
the journey. But we've had so many, like if I didn't decide to swim the English Channel, I probably wouldn't have gone like swimming up by Davenport, with friends, and I wouldn't have done a 50-mile relay with Kim and a bunch of other people across Monterey. We did a relay from from Santa Cruz to Monterey and back. It's like a 50-mile swim.
How many people in that?
There were
6.
there were
Six.
6 of us, and we rotated every hour. And I jumped off the beach. I think it was like 2 or 3 in the morning from Seabright, and did my first shift. And right off the bat, it was like dolphins swimming with us. The bioluminescence was like off the charts that day.
Right.
And we had some weird shit out there in the middle of the night. Like,
There's weird shit out
yeah,
there.
there's so much life out there in the Monterey Bay.
Yeah.
You jump off the boat in the middle of the night, and you're halfway to Monterey, and you're out over the canyon, like you're over Soquel Hole or something.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking down, thinking, shit, I wonder if something's gonna eat me. And like stuff would, the bioluminescence is so strong. Every time something, like a little fish goes by, it's like a little trail of light.
Right.
And sometimes you'd see this little trail of light, and that kind of lifts your spirits, and you're
Right.
like, yay,
Right.
light, And then the next thing you know, you see this thing that looks like a freaking submarine, go by, and you're like, whoa, is that a whale? What is that, right?
Right.
You're just like constantly in this weird, trippy space.
Yeah, my friend Chris Galati has that blue helicopter that goes up and down there from
Right,
Specialized.
yeah.
We had him on the show, it's great to have him on the show because he talks about what's going on. But he said the right thing is, he goes, Neil, I've been flying that damn helicopter up and down here for 20 years, and I've never seen, especially since COVID, with less pollution and stuff like that, because I've never seen the Monterey Bay teeming with God knows what, and so healthy, just healthy
Yeah, it's amazing.
piece of water,
It is amazing. We're so lucky to have this right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, if I hadn't decided to swim the English Channel like 4 years in a row, I wouldn't have had all those days where it was like Kim's calling me up at like 3 in the morning going, meet me in Capitola, before sunrise, and we're out there in the dark. And you know from surfing, right? Like you get to see the sunrise, you
Right.
go out there super early, and
Right.
that sun comes up over the east, and it's like the water looks purple, and it's,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just the most amazing things out there, between the sunrises and all the things you run into. If you spend enough time out there, surfing, swimming, diving, whatever, you're gonna run into stuff, right?
Yeah. Right.
Like, I had a pretty good sized great white swim under me at Bombora one day,
Yeah.
and realized for the first time in my life that they're just cruising. They don't necessarily want to eat you, right?
I'm bringing Christian here into this one more time because he said flies a helicopter and you see him right here. He goes teach people to shark tours, but he said Neil, if you surf at Memory, surf or anywhere between the cement ship or this side of the cement ship where we're at right now down to Marina, you will get visited by a great white shark.
Oh yeah.
They will come. They just want to check you out. What's going on? Especially if you piss, take the leak, they'll come check it out. Especially if the water's murky to clear.
Yeah.
And he's got all this, but he says, you'll get visited. They won't, they won't attack you, but they'll come check you out.
You know how you get that vibe, like surfing, you kind of get that feeling, like it feels sharky or something. I mean, one day Robin Rose and I were swimming. This was just this summer, and it was like kind of like probably not very smart, but it was like right in the the heart of like the peak of when all the sharks were being around the beaches, and we took off from platform. We swam down to Place de Mer, which is past Manresa, and back. And on our way back, a fog rolled in, and it was just like this spooky moment, and we just felt like we were being, like we were being checked out from under the water, And we had to really fight hard, like mentally, not to get out of the water and walk back. And we swam all the way back. But then, but they're out there. They're checking you out for sure.
Going back to challenge, I can't go through every swim with you because we'll be here for all night long. The lowest moment for you was, and the highest moment for you was, probably the highest moment I would guess would be landing on the beach. I don't know, but the lowest moment for you was in all your attempts was.
Yeah. So the lowest moment was. Probably, so I'll try to speed through this real quick, but the first attempt, I swam for 15 and a half hours. I was a mile off France. I was exhausted, and I got swept away in the current. So I just didn't have the strength to get to the beach that time. So that was like all on me, right? I couldn't land it. Second time was kind of a freak thing where it was a big storm, like big seas, and I was sucking exhaust from the boat. I got super nauseous. Had to go to the hospital. I only swam like 10 miles. Got out. Right. That was kind of like I don't count that one. It was just like a scrap that one. So I come back the third time feeling really really good, and it's like the last day of the tide window, and you go over there and you don't know when you're going to get to swim. It's like this total mind fuck, right? It's like they call it the Dover coaster. It's just like this mental up and down, and they finally give me this chance to swim like at the end of the tide window. It's like the last chance before I fly out. And I get on the boat, and the weather was pretty crappy. It was like there were squalls coming through. I think there was some hail, and it was just big white caps and everything. But I thought, this is my day, right? It's my only chance to go. So I just put my head down. I swam. I swam for, it was like, I was about a mile and a half, maybe just under 2 miles from France again, right where I was before. But this time I felt good. I had all this strength. And the captain was coming out, leaning his head out the window of the boat. And he's like, "You're gonna make it." And it's like 2 a.m, and the way it was big swell, and the swell would come up, it would lift me up, and I would get up high enough over the swell I could see the lights of Wissant, flickering on the beach. And I'm like, "Oh man, it's right there."
Right.
And then he comes out like an hour later and says, "You're getting pushed toward Calais again. You've got to pick up the pace." And I'm giving it everything I have. And then he says, "No, don't worry, we're going to land you on the other side of the harbor. They're going to let you land on the other side of the harbor." And I thought, okay, this is it. This is my year. And then just all of a sudden he comes out and says, "No, they decided they don't want you to go across the harbor because you're not really supposed to go across where the ferries come out. It's too dangerous, especially at night in the dark." So he comes out and he just goes, "Nope, you're done. Your swim's over. Get back on the boat." And that was probably the low point, obviously, right? Because I knew I could get there.
Right.
Like I had it. It was right there.
Right.
And then they basically, technicality, I was in the wrong spot, pulled me out. I just had swam fast enough to get in where I was supposed to get in, and I ended up in the forbidden zone. So that was the low point. Obviously, the high point was getting there in France, but on this last swim, so I'm swimming, and we had kind of made this. The captain and I had made this deal where it was like, okay, you ended up toward Calais in the forbidden zone, right, twice.
The same guy.
I got a different captain this year, and not because I didn't like my other captain. My other captain was great, but this guy just, I had booked with this guy years ago as a backup, and then ended up getting kind of slipped in with a different captain the previous years. So I had this tight on hold basically, and I went to swim with this guy, and he said, I can keep you out of Calais, but we got to take the long way around. You're gonna have to go way down south past Cap Grinet, and that's gonna give you this kind of buffer zone, so you won't end up. By the time you get up toward Calais, the tide will be changing, and you'll be okay. But you're probably gonna have to swim a couple hours extra. Like, are you good for 18 hours? Are you good for 16, 17, 18 hour swim? And I kind of signed up for that, right? I said, yeah, that's good. I'd rather swim long and make it than try to break.
Right.
Go fast.
Because the way that map that was on, I think you sent me.
Yeah, you saw the track, right?
The track. You went down kind of
way down south.
Way down south.
Way down south.
And you tacked like a sailboat.
Yeah.
Right.
Then the tide changed, and then I had like 10 miles before, to get in.
Right.
And so I'm swimming, and we're right off the Cape. And as you sweep by the Cape, the current's kind of dragging you past the Cape. And I could see the lighthouse and everything, and it's like you could taste it. You're right there.
Yeah.
The captain came out and said, you're not going to hit that. Right, we're going to get swept past that. And right when you pass the Cape, land kind of falls away. So if you don't land it on the nose of Cap Grinet,
you go further swim.
Yeah, you add like 2 or 3 miles, and which can be you're drifting sideways. You're trying to go another 2 miles, so it ends up adding like 2 or 3 hours to the swim. So I'm sitting there knowing I've got a few extra hours, and he comes out the window and he goes, Scott, you can give it everything you've got for 90 minutes. I can land you at Wissant Beach. And here I am, the whole time I'm thinking I'm going to land on some rocky shore, touch the cliff or something. Mm-hmm. And he tells me I can get to Wissant. And I'm thinking,
which gives you a boost of confidence too.
Yeah,
right?
it's this white sandy beach.
Right.
I'm picturing French people with baguettes and champagne and poodles frolicking in the surf. This is the dream landing, right?
Right.
And so I got
the French Foreign Legion's going to show up.
Exactly. So I've been already going for 14 hours. I had nothing left, but so I dig deep. I find, I kind of battle the demons, right? I dig up some energy and I go all out for 90 minutes. And then he says, he comes out after 90 minutes and says, okay, we're going in. And I look up and the beach is still like 2 miles away because I've been going sideways the whole time. But that 90 minutes got me across the current. So I basically finished it off, got up on the beach, and that was definitely the high moment.
Yeah. Made it.
Yeah, it was like, people always say do you listen to music while you swim and stuff like that? And, I think when I started out, it was all like the water was kind of hectic and choppy and disorganized. Trying to get into a rhythm with the boat. It's like it's dark, and at that moment, I was in my mind. I'm listening to Metallica, Hardwired.
Right.
And then when I got to that beach, that moment of dragging myself onto the white sand, it was like Metallica was faded in the distance. Now I'm listening to Mozart, Lacrimosa, Break to 11, with a chorus of angels weeping, right? It was just this really profound moment. I don't know, life-changing moment.
Is there a wall like in marathon running? Is there a point where you go where you got which you've reached and you have to overcome that hurdle?
Yeah, and it's part physiological, but it's also mental. Around 6 or 7 hours, I always hit this wall around maybe 7 hours.
So it's early for you.
Yeah, and then I kind of break through that, and then it gets better after that. But it's a constant up and down. It's like you're swimming. 1 minute it's dark, it's nighttime. You're looking down into the black water, and it's the demons are all your mental demons and self-doubt and self-loathing and I can't do this.
Right.
What the fuck am I thinking? I'm spending a month in England, and then all of a sudden you'll think of some thing that you're grateful for. I'll think about just a text message somebody sent me, or some words of encouragement.
Right.
It starts out like this little light, just all of a sudden it's you're lifted up by that gratitude.
Right. When I interviewed Robin, remember a couple of years ago, it was a fun day. She was talking about, and maybe I'm wrong, but remind me. But she said that she had a filing cabinet, which she has in her mind that she unlocks as she goes along. Okay, I got my family, I got I got my relatives, I've got my work, I got this, and she has this filing cabinet. Do you have something? Right? Is that right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, I'm sure it's different for everybody.
Yeah,
Because the rules are strict. This is your sport has strict rules. Can you have music?
No.
So you got no music,
no.
right? You can't wear a wetsuit, right? You
Right.
can't touch the side of a boat. So the rules are very strict. It's a great sport with very, very strict rules.
Very strict, very pure, and so it really is sort of like person against the sea, right?
Right.
In your own mind.
So what do you have in your mind? It's going to go, okay, I'm stepping in. I've got an 18-hour swim.
Yeah. I think for me, it always seems to come back to gratitude, and I just think about all the people, you know, over 4 years plus, 5 years, whatever, your whole life, whatever you reach wherever you can. But you think about these people that have. I think about the people that have supported me along the way, and I think about I just became a grandfather this year.
Right.
So, you know, you think about my little baby grandson, you know, it's like you think about these things, and all of a sudden it's like that gratitude lifts you up, and like all of a sudden it goes from dark to light, and things, you know, you go from absolute doubt to euphoria, and it's just like this, you know, ride. And I mean, I'd say I was definitely lifted and pushed forward just by pure gratitude, like the whole swim,
Right.
to get to the end. And I don't really.
You haven't actually said to yourself, goddamn Kim got me into sport, that son of a gun.
I think that every time. Yeah.
No. Because all the fun stuff that we do that leads up to this, like the cave swimming, Davenport, and there's some friends on the west side that are just wild. And,
right. Well, that whole
and when you get done, you're like, I always go up another story, you know, because you have like this whole filing cabinet full of stories for yourself as you swim through this one. Just remember that good swim when it's really hard right now. What swim did I do? And the training is so much fun.
Right.
That the event becomes.
It's fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You think it's fun doing the swims or
the
training?
Oh, the training is fun. Yeah, because you know,
Yeah.
swimming's boring, right?
Yeah.
I mean, swimming's pretty boring, especially if you're swimming in a pool. But even open water swimming, after a while, can get boring. So we try to make it interesting and keep it fun. And so, you know, like you go out and, like I told you, I kind of was feeling guilty about not like surfing when there was a good swell, and you go swimming. So you try to compensate for that. I try to like reconcile that in my mind by, you know, oh, big swell comes, throw on a pair of fins, like go out to the lane on a big day and try to swim out there.
Do something different.
Or, swim up on the north coast, like go up to Davenport and swim around, or you know, whatever, do ins and outs here where you body surf for a little while and then swim down the coast a couple miles, body surf a little more. So that keeps it fun.
Speaking of paddleboarding real quick, I remember when I first started paddleboarding years and years ago. I was one of the first to do it here in Santa Cruz with Bob Pearson. And then I got invited to go to the South End Rowing Club. I don't know how that happened. I go up to South End Rowing Club with my truck with like 4 boards hanging out the back of it, right? And I get in there, beautiful place. And then there were some people that wanted to learn to paddleboard. But at the same time, there was this lunatic group that, with no wetsuits, it was San Francisco, it was freezing ass cold. Cold day. Right? June or July, it was freezing. And then, but there was a whole bunch, there they go, out of that harbor, and out, swimming out past the breakwater there. I'm like, these people are out of them. I was with a friend of mine, people are nuts.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's, so we both belong to the South End. We're members.
And I don't forget that. I was that night, I literally left that rowing club with a big cheap jacket on, freezing. And I actually had a concession at Lake Persona in Los Gatos, which was like 105 that day. You go from absolutely, 34 degrees at the South End Rowing Club to Los Gatos where it was like 105. It was crazy.
That's the thing about the South End too. They have a reputation around the world. Like I show up in England and you're wearing a South End jacket or a sweatshirt or something, and they just go, "Oh, South Ender, like you got this, no problem." You know, like, no, really, you don't understand. Like, I suck at swimming. Like I'm here on a dare or something.
Right. I just got the shirt.
Yeah, exactly. But that's where we met the locos. And you've interviewed the locos. And, all these amazing people that are doing. And then you realize, like, oh, I remember there was a time when I thought, oh, I swam around the Santa Cruz Wharf. That was pretty exciting. Yeah. Or you do Alcatraz or something. You think you're pretty, like, oh, I swam Alcatraz. That's pretty badass. Right. And then you go up to South End and you realize, like, people are swimming to the Farallon Islands and shit.
I think Alcatraz for them is like a day.
They do it every day, right?
Yeah, every day. Go back and forth or to the Golden Gate Bridge, to the Bay Bridge.
Right.
Back and
Yeah,
forth.
there's a group up at the South End called the Asses. It's the Alcatraz Swimming Society or something like that.
Yeah.
And they swim it literally every day. They go out every day and swim. They have like 1,000 Alcatraz, over 1,000 Alcatraz swims.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So what's your next endeavor?
Oh,
you have one lined up?
Everybody always asks that.
Of course.
there are a couple swims that are just sort of like these iconic swims that I have to do. Like I have to swim
You
the length.
have to do them?
Yeah, I just have to.
Right.
Like the length of Lake Tahoe.
Right.
Because I've done Santa Barbara Channel, Catalina Channel, and if I do the length of Lake Tahoe, you get this sort of like make-believe award thing called the California Triple Crown.
The T-shirt.
Yeah, you get the T-shirt, right? And then if you swim around Manhattan Island, which is 28 miles, you get like this international like swimming Triple Crown thing. So I want to do those. Those are fun swims. But I mean, obviously the big, we talk about people talk about like why do you do it, and if you do it far enough and long enough, you eventually hear that music. So it's like madness becomes something really special. But
becomes sanity.
Yeah, it becomes sanity.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I always say go out and do something that scares you every day. Like pick something completely unreasonable. Like put a goal out there, and then all the things you have to do to fill in the gap. That's where that's where the real growth will happen and the real living will happen.
Yeah.
So I think the thing that scares me the most is Monterey Bay, right? I mean that's a freaking scary swim, and you're going to interview Kat tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
And that's like, I mean that's a grown-up swim. That's like more beyond the English Channel.
I have the same. If you think of what she did, the 12 hours, an unbelievable time. Obviously, but she's you're a granddad.
Yeah,
right?
I'm not gonna. Yeah,
you're a granddad, and you. The thing that I was impresses me that you didn't make it 3 times.
Yeah. And
you kept going back. It's not exactly it's a quick drive to get to the English Channel. It's a haul to get there.
Yeah, never give up, right?
Never give up. You don't know what the conditions are going to be, because in England it could be it could be nice now. In an hour it could be snowing.
Yeah, you go. But this year especially, they had. Normally you go with a crew. Like I was going to bring Kim. She was going to be like my coach on the boat and everything. And with COVID, I had to go by myself. So I'm over there, and then I had to quarantine for 2 weeks, and then I had to go to Dover and wait for a couple weeks for the weather to break. And you're on this thing they call the Dover coaster, where you're just kind of getting tormented. The captain will call you at like 9 p.m. and say, "You're swimming tonight at 2 a.m." And you're like, "Oh shit!" And then they'll call you at like at 10 p.m. and say, "Oh, the weather went to shit. You're not going." And in that moment, it happens like repeatedly, right? And in that moment, it's like the first time it happened to me on this trip. I just felt like I was going through all the hoops and logistics and COVID and quarantines, and here I am, and you don't even know if you're going to get to swim. Right. You might go the whole tide window, and you might get weathered out. And he calls me up and he says, "Oh, sorry, mate, weather's gone to crap. You're not swimming tonight." And in the moment, I'm feeling like I'm on death row and I just got a stay of execution, Like, oh, thank God I'm not going tonight, But then like 1 second later, you're like this little kid and your parents came in and said, "Christmas is canceled." It's like this weird combination of absolute relief and absolute disappointment.
Distraught,
Yeah, in the exact same moment, it's like this. You're on this freaking emotional roller coaster.
Is there a association that runs that whole channel crossing for swimming?
There's
two.
They're two.
So you have to pay for it. You pay to swim.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'll be brutally honest. Yeah, you can. It's like you could probably get the whole thing done for about $8,000. If you went over there with limited people.
So you look at $8 to $10 grand.
$8 to $10 grand a pop. Yeah. I mean, I think if you bring
if you don't make it, you don't get a rebate.
No, you don't get a rebate. The boat's like $4,000 or $5,000. By the time you do the pound conversion, it's like $4,500 or something. But plane flights and and you're there for a while. And this time I had to be there for a month. So 4 years in a row, I don't know. My wife's probably gonna listen to this, but I think we've got like 50 grand into the swim or something.
Some television. Well, I'll delete that. Delete.
She's gonna want a trip.
Yeah, she's like, where's that new car I wanted?
Yeah. But it's this weird thing, It's
whose fault that is. You can just point to her.
I know it is. And it is like people always say it's like like a drug addiction or something.
Yeah.
There's probably I think that we all have addictive personalities that are in the sport. Probably, yeah. It's like a healthy way to channel it.
Yeah. There's definitely a different group.
Yeah.
And all those matadors came down on the show that one time. Super fun.
Yeah, Kim and I were recruited for them when they swam to the Fairlawn.
It's funny because I've had a lot of athletes on the show, like the ghost, what do you call them, the ghost riders, and all these paddlers and athletes, and amazing athletes, quarter football players, and baseball players. I had to talk to them. I've all been on the show, but you guys or that whole group which do not look like athletes, right? Are not athletic looking. If you took a picture of like all like 25 of the Natadorus locals, or whatever, you're like,
Yeah.
who's this bunch of school teachers? You know, like
I know.
Yeah.
this look like, right?
The first time
And
I
yet-
went to,
and yet-
the first time I saw Alcatraz, you know, my mother-in-law was there at the beach with my wife and my mother-in-law, and I remember my mother-in-law scratching her head, you know,
Yeah.
because there's all these people coming out like way in front of
Right.
me, you know,
Right.
like these really fast swimmers, and like you said, they don't necessarily look like athletes,
No.
you know, and she's going, wait, you know, where are all, who are these people, right?
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
but yeah, in the water, people amaze you. You know,
Yeah.
there's some amazing athletes.
Yeah.
You know, all different shapes and sizes. That's for sure.
Well, I hope the sport. I hope doing stuff like this. I hope this grows the sport. And, you know, I don't know. I try and support
Yeah.
her, even though she drives me crazy. You know, she
Well, we
don't.
want the sport to grow. I mean, that's kind of where we started with the association, to have people have a safe way and
Yeah.
a kind of a structured way to focus and be able to get across the bay and help them out.
Yeah.
And so we're here, and we hope we get a lot more swimmers.
Well,
yeah.
having someone like Kat, she's young, right?
Right.
There's an infusion. There, people see as young athletic girls. That, I hope she can inspire some more of it.
And she does. She already inspires all these
The
young
sport's
people. And
Yeah.
There's a young girl, Angel Moore, who started swimming with us a few years ago, and you know she called us up like a couple years ago, and her parents and her called us and said, can you she wants to do a 20K swim in Monterey Bay. Can you help her out? She was 13 years old, and we took her. She swam from Capitola out 2 miles. Basically, she swam the J course. Basically, she swam, but out 2 miles, went down to Santa Cruz Wharf, out around Mile Buoy, comes back, does this full like 20K loop, and she's at 13 years old.
Yeah.
And there's this new kid named James Savage who's doing all these swims, and he's training for the length of Lake Tahoe. And what's he? He's like 13 or 14 years old
14,
too.
yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, these
Good
amazing
for
kids.
sport.
You think
Yeah.
about at that age to have the mental,
Yeah.
because I mean they're fast and they're young, but
Yeah.
this is a sport that requires a lot of like mental
Yeah.
strength
I mean,
too.
a kid without a phone in his hand for 13 hours.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Well,
Right.
and I think too, it's you have to have one or the other. You have to either be fast or you have to have the mental strength to go long. So some of our friends that are really fast, they're like, we put on the 24, and they're hilarious. They're like, I don't know, I've never swam more than 8 hours, and they've done
Right.
channel swims, right? But they're so fast that like they get there in a few hours,
Right.
versus having to be repetitive for 24 hours
Right.
by yourself. And so that's another whole, you got to be on one side of the coin or the other
Right.
for this sport.
And let me ask you, when she swam backwards, like, right?
Right.
Was that to you? I mean, to me, I don't know enough of the sport. To me, was that the pinnacle? Do you think of the Mount Everest as far as all
Yeah,
the swim?
I mean, people think of if, in the swimming world, if you ask somebody kind of what's the biggest swim, or witnessed anything like that
Right.
in front of my own eyeballs,
Right.
that was insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not insane because she could hear the music, right? And we're all looking at her out there dancing,
Yeah.
we thought she was nuts.
Right.
But it's but inside her mind, she was in the flow, she was in the zone, right?
Right.
It's all about that flow.
Amazing. That was an amazing feat. I've always been proud of her for that. Well, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having
Thanks
me.
for bringing the beer.
Yeah, if you ever want to just get together over more beer and talk old skate stories, too,
Absolutely.
because that's where my real.
Is
I mean,
it?
we do all these swims and stuff, but
Yeah.
it's like, what do you like? What was kind of like the highlights of your life and all that? It's like I still love the skateboard, even though
Yeah.
I can't really take falling
Yeah.
very much, right,
Yeah.
at this age. But
I have two electric. I'm going to go ride my electric skateboard in a
Yeah.
minute, but
but
I'm going to go see Roscoe tomorrow. He lives up the street here.
oh yeah,
Yeah, I'm going to see
That's a
Ross
legend,
visit. Do it. Yeah.
yeah.
And he's picked up skateboarding again.
See, I started skating a little bit now in my 50s, and
Yeah.
you have to be careful because you start getting like, oh, I could do this and I could do that, and
Yeah,
you get a little
good.
cocky and then
Cool.
eat shit, right?
Yeah.
But it's not like, I think Kim sent you some pictures. We used to skate these pools, and
Right.
like we used to skate this full pipe over in the bay, over the hills,
Yeah.
Bombora, and,
Yeah.
the kiddie pool and Winchester Skate Park and all this
Right.
stuff. But you could just eat shit. Like you could
Oh, yeah.
fall from like 10 feet high
Yeah, it
and
hurts.
just get back up, right?
Yeah.
Now you fall out for
Oh,
like
yeah. Oh.
maybe ever for
Yeah,
like 6
it
hours.
hurts. It does hurt. It
Yeah.
still hurts.
Yeah.
I keep the blood on my deck. It's on my deck just to remind me to
Yeah, a
go
little
slow.
blood.
Yeah.
But I am always, even at my age or at our age, like the best part about skating is, you know, you go out there and there's like these young kids who are just super cool and ripping,
Yeah.
like Marco Chavez, or
Right.
you know, it's
How-
inspiring.
How old are you?
I'm 56.
I'm 63.
Yeah.
I went to the doctor the other day, had my physical. She's like, you still paddleboarding? I go, yeah. She goes, keep paddleboarding.
Yeah.
She goes, you still skateboarding? I go, yeah. She goes, keep skateboarding.
Oh,
Which is the
good.
first most people got. Just skateboarding at 63 years old, you're
Right.
too old for that shit.
Yeah.
And she goes, I go, why did you say that? She goes, because your age, men at your age lose their balance. And you can, if you skate and you snowboard or you paddleboard or surf, you are improving your balance every day.
That's good
So,
to know.
yeah.
We'll stick with it.
That's
Yeah.
the doctor going, yeah, good for thank you very much. Well,
Yeah.
thanks, Kim. Are you coming
Yes.
tomorrow?
Yeah.
If you want to, you're welcome to come. You know
I
that.
have nothing.
Better to do?
Yeah.
She's gonna be here tomorrow.
Yeah.
Scott.
With the real swimmer.
Well, you know what? I think it's different. I think they're different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did it. To not do it 3 times, to keep going back, another 10 grand, another 10 grand, shitty weather, shitty food. You know, I mean, it's just my hat's off to you. You know,
Thank you.
and she's a lot younger and got in there, and she like ran over there,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's like,
She's
cause I'm like, wait, so it's over? I did. I'm like, I think we were texting in the morning, all
Yeah.
night on the morning. I'm like, it's over? I thought she had a ways to go. And like, next thing you know, she's on the beach and
She
you know.
makes it look easy, but I watched her swim across Lake Tahoe when
Yeah.
she broke the record for Tahoe.
Yeah.
And I was like honored, you know, to be on the boat watching her swim.
Right.
And I'd never seen somebody go so much faster at the end than they did at the beginning.
Right.
You know, she was just so hungry for that record.
Yeah.
You know, she's one of those people that leaves nothing left.
Nothing in the
Nothing
tank.
in the tank.
No.
And when she's done, she's put it all out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like an
Good for her.
amazing athlete. So
Yeah.
I look forward to hearing you talk to her tomorrow.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Kim, thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. That was fun.
Yeah.
It's not that bad. Oh shit. Tired.
Something for the grandkids.